Everybody, today we're talking about age-proofing your home. It might be for your parents' home, for your elderly parents' homes, and it might be for yourself as well, but that's what today is all about. I know that most people think that when we're talking about fall risks, that those risks are more common when you're outside of the home, but that is not true. Most of the fall risks happen in our own home when we take our guard down. So I've been on the road traveling. Many of you have seen my story where I'm usually here live at 12 o'clock every Saturday, but we're just running a little bit behind because we're doing the best we can. That's all we can do, right? So I went to go see my oldest daughter in Northern California, and now I'm at my dad's house. I'm going to stop back by my mom's house on the way through. So there's a lot of this kind of things that are going on, right? I'm getting a real good look at how my mom is aging in place. A lot of you know my mom has Alzheimer's disease, and so there's challenges with that as well. But I want to go through this entire checklist, and you can easily get this after I post this to my main feed. You can get this. I'm going to post this to my main feed just because I'm late and I want everybody to have the information. But you can just comment the word age proof. Age proof. If you comment the word age proof, not here, but after I post it to my feed, you'll get this free checklist, and it goes room by room. But I wanted to kind of just talk briefly before we do that about the risks of falling, because I know we think about older people falling. Well, for many of us who are on here, and I see a lot of the same people that are on here every week, I appreciate you being here. I know you guys have lots of places to be on a Saturday, so I appreciate you being here. And when I say age proof, Jeffrey, when I post this to my main feed, so not here, because it won't have that auto populate. But once I post this, and I'll post this right after I get done with this talk, I'll post it, and then you comment in that comment section, age proof. And if you have somebody in your family, whether it's your sister, your brother, your aunt, your uncle, your parents, if you're lucky enough to still have them with you, your grandparents, looking around their environment and making sure that it's safe for them is a very touchy subject, okay? I would just say that. It's like taking somebody's car keys away from them when they still feel they have that ability to drive. So it's a very touchy subject. But in addition to that, my mother-in-law is my stepmom is just gave a little chuckle because it is a touchy subject. But that said, you can't just go into somebody's home and start making changes, right? We wouldn't want somebody to do that for us. But I want you to, when we go through this checklist, to also turn inwards a little bit, because a lot of you on here are in that age range where falls and fractures are becoming more prevalent. Because it starts at 65 is about the typical age where you see all those statistics go up, where falls and fractures can happen. So I wanted to just go over that really quickly. More than 1 in 4 Americans age 65 or older fall every year. Every year, 1 in 4 over the age of 65. Fatalities, falls are the leading cause of injury-related death amongst older people. The leading cause, above anything else, falls are the leading cause. And about 20 to 40% of falls result in injury, with 2.5%. So it's not like every time an older person falls, they're going to get hurt. My mom has become really good at falling. She falls all the time, which is, it's terrifying, but she's never gotten hurt, and she's got like a tuck and roll situation. My mom's very agile, so she's physically strong, but she has Alzheimer's, so there's that part. But so not that everybody who falls is going to break a bone, but those risks of osteoporosis and osteopenia and more fatal kind of falls happen the older you get. And so 2.5% of all falls cause serious injury requiring hospitalization, and hip fractures. Over 95% of hip fractures are caused from falls. So all my women out there who are postmenopausal, perimenopausal, and your bone density is going down, 95% of hip fractures are caused from falls, and they're not caused from people going out to dinner or going out to movies. They are mostly caused around the home in your own environment. So there's a lot of benefits to aging in place. And I talked about this on a different live show that I did with my husband it was called Aging Parents, Sandwich Generation and Caregiver Burnout. that was what that one show was called. But there's a lot of benefits to aging in place, and a lot more people are doing it. That said, even for ourselves and for our future selves, we have to keep this stuff in mind, because like I said, most falls happen in your own home. Things you have done your entire life or for the last decade, walking around different tables or, extension cords or things that you think you know where it is, and you've got your, you know exactly where that obstacle is. That's when we let our guard down, and that's when a lot of the falls and stuff happen. So when you're aging, to stay in place, there's so many benefits to that, right? You get to be independent. It's that familiarity of your whole environment. I don't know about you, but I travel heavy. Anytime when I travel to go see my mom or my dad or my daughter, I'm travel heavy. My home is the same way. It is packed. And my husband is a little bit of a pack rat on top of that. So to be able to be in your own environment and surrounded with those things that you've accumulated your whole life is really important to a lot of people. The social connections that you have in your environment, the grocery store you go to, all of that stuff, your mailman, your neighbors, all of those are important in terms of aging at home. And sometimes it's much cheaper to age at home as well, instead of going into a facility. So there's a lot of benefits for sure of staying in place, but there's a lot of challenges, and a lot of that has to do with home modifications. So the older we get in our homes, the more modifications we will need, obviously. But this is a document that I made with my assistant, Janie, that really is a good place to start in your parents' home, in your grandparents' home, in your aunt or your uncle's home, who are aging in place and might need a little bit more help and accommodations to make their home safe, right? And so let's just start with this. And the thing says age proofing checklist. Make home safe for aging parents or yourself. Because like I said, I know at 57 years old, I'm nearing that age where my fall risk greatly increases. And yeah, it's statistical, and it just depends on what your lifestyle is and all of that. It's not like everybody is going to fall in, their whole life, but 1 in 4 people over the age of 65 fall every single year. And like I said, it is the leading cause of death caused by injury in 65 and older. And then it becomes that slippery slope, right? Once you fall, you break a hip. If you fall and you've got fragile bones from hormone fluctuations and from age, you break a hip, it's not just that hip that's needing to repair. It's that lack of exercise. What does that do for your heart, for your circulation, for lymphatic drainage, for the health of your brain? You're on different medications from falling from the hip. What does that do to your cognitive function? You're not able to have those same social connections and get out in the world. What does that do to memory and that? That's what I mean by it's a slippery slope. A fracture is not just a fracture. A fracture oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes, especially over the age of 65, is the beginning of this slippery slope that happens with age-related diseases. That's when all of that stuff starts to happening. So I kind of divided this into a per room, and then there's some basic stuff, right? So just in terms of a basic stuff for my mom yesterday, my mom was, or 2 days ago, was fiddling around with her shoestrings, and she's 82 years old and she's got Alzheimer's. And I thought, why are we dealing with tennis shoes with strings at this point? And so we ordered some slip-on tennis shoes. She ordered them. She wanted to pick out a certain color. She liked the style. They're coming on Wednesday, but that's like common sense stuff, right? That's not the home, not has to do with the home. But if you're wearing slippers, but where your feet slide in, where you don't have the support and you don't have the stability where it's keeping your foot stable, that's a hazard. So are you at the age, or are your parents at the age where they should start wearing tennis shoes at home, either barefoot or tennis shoes at home that are not going to be a hazard, right? So those are like the common sense ones, but let's just start with, and some of these will be common sense. We'll start with the entry. And remember, you can always get this whole checklist. It's for free. You can get this checklist on liveyounglifestyle.com, and you just click on protocols on the side, and you'll get the age-proof checklist. But you can, when I post this to my main feed, what you're going to do is just comment the word, not here, but in the comment section, age proof, and then check your DMs. You'll get a link to this free checklist. Okay, so entry hall. It's the first thing I have here is install sturdy handrails on both sides of the steps. It's something that I'm going to be doing to my stairs as well. Here is my stairs before I made accommodations. This is in my home in Los Angeles. This is a wall on this side. And yeah, I've got a stair rail on one side, but to have to put a flat hand on a wall, to brace yourself is really not the same as being able to grab onto something. So how much leeway do you have if you can just brace yourself on a wall versus being able to hold on and grip onto a rail? So eventually what I will do, and you always want to do this sooner rather than later. You want to do it before you need it, not at the time when an accident has already happened, right? But if I were to age-proof this home, another rail on this wall that hugs against the wall, and they make them where you've just got the little rail along the side, right? But that is going to make this much safer for me going home or going up and down the stairs. Now, if you've got stairs on your entry of your home, it's the same thing. You want the rails on both sides. And we're just talking about entry here. So install sturdy handrails on both sides of the steps. Number 2, ensure good lighting, including motion sensor lights. So when we get older, a lot of what we don't realize in terms of our eyesight is that the contrast diminishes with age. It is nothing that you're doing wrong. It's nothing there. You're not lacking any vitamins. It is the wear out of the machinery. You can take some sort of things and high in vitamin A's, and you can do things that can kind of help preserve your eye health. But almost everybody needs reading glasses as they get older. And almost everybody, and I want to say 99%, the contrast of light and dark diminishes as we get older. It's the same thing when we start out as babies. You'll see like a lot of times the mobiles that are over the crib are like just highly contrasted things, black, white, red, right? That's more sensory what an infant can see. When we get older, that contrast between light and dark also diminishes. And so driving at night is difficult, but also getting a key into a lock of your door is more difficult. So having motion sensors at the doorway where the lights will automatically turn on so that you can get a key in the door is going to be a lot more beneficial than trying to fumble around on where to put the key. Remove tripping hazards like loose mats and clutter. So anything in the hallway that is like, if you've got a landing mat that you might have, had that mat for a decade and the ends start curling up a little bit and all of a sudden you've got a tripping hazard. If the threshold, and I don't want to walk around my dad's house, I don't want to invade his privacy like that, but if the threshold, I was going to show you just in any door jamb, if there's a lip, like if there's a lip going out, it could even be, it's more common like in a door jamb going out to a garage or something. But if there's a lip of a door jamb, they make things that you can buy at Home Depot. You might have to buy them online at Home Depot, but it's like a threshold wedge. And it just doesn't allow your toe to get stuck in that door jamb, in that little wedge. So they make a little wedge, a little triangle shaped wedge to fill in that gap, and it doesn't catch your toe as easily. So that's in the entryway. When we move to like the living room, that's like your main, wherever your main gathering place is in your house, arranging the furniture so that to make sure that you've got clear space to walk. So making sure that you're not one of those people, and I tend to do this. I over furnish everything. I do. I like things. I like the little knickknacks. I like that kind of stuff. But to make sure that you've got ample space to walk in between a couch and a table, for example. If you can't easily walk between those, then making those kind of adjustments are going to be more safe. Securing area rugs with non-slip backing. So if you've got an area rug and it starts to kind of turn up a little bit, you can take that double stick tape that they have for rugs. Oh my God, I'm getting a little tongue-tied. But that's a really good way to make sure that those rugs stay in place. And also easy to reach light switches and outlets. I just recently, when I'm changing outlets or adding outlets into my home, I'm making sure that they're at a distance from the ground that is easily accessible. Because even though we may have in our 20s and 30s squeezed ourselves behind the dresser to plug in that lamp, it might not be something that we're wanting to do in our 50s and 60s because of not necessarily injury from falling, although that is a possibility as well, but tweaking a shoulder, getting stuck, getting jammed, reaching your hand in too quickly, places that we were able to easily get to, with a little bit of a yoga pose to get to unplug a lamp or plug it back in. It's just, if you can move those or have extension cords in a way where it's easy, much more easily to get to. Okay, in terms of the kitchen, the reason why I came up with this little part is because I just reorganized my whole pantry. And when I did that talk on Friday with 4 different speakers at my house. And a lot of those talks are going to be in the 10-week course. But I was trying to okay, let's just make sure I'm going to do this talk. What is there in the kitchen that I should be aware of? And I had to change some things in my own kitchen. One of them was on a pantry shelf to make sure that the heavy items, that 5-pound bag of flour is not on the top, that it is literally right at waist level. So I moved some stuff around. We might not need the toilet papers, and the paper towels at eye level, right? Those are very lightweight. Move those up top and move things like the flour and the sugar and different sauces and things like that right along waist level. And the interesting thing that I found as well is that the older people get, myself included, the more expired crap we have in our pantry and our refrigerator. We've been used to cooking for a lot more people. We may have had children at home, before they went off to college and started their life of their own, and we're used to cooking for more. And so we buy things still thinking that there's no way it's going to expire. So not only do we have diminished eyesight as we get older, but we have less people that we're feeding in our homes, statistically speaking. And so there's more expired goods that are happening. And the majority of people that have foodborne illnesses from home are elderly people. So it's just that not consuming enough of it to make that expiration date, but also not having an organized pantry to where things are just piled on top. And all of a sudden you have a jar of peanut butter that's 5 years expired, right? People can get sick from this. That has happened to me at my mom's house before. I was like, why does this peanut butter taste weird? Oh, it was from 2019. Well, that makes sense why it tastes weird. But it's difficult even for me at 57 to get to those expiration dates. Imagine my mom at 82. So if to help to organize, to throw out all the expired stuff, to make things more accessible so that injury doesn't happen for ourselves as well, putting things that are the heaviest items right at waist level so that we're not having to use our shoulders to do that. Super, super important. Another thing that I did not think about, and the more that I researched on at-home injuries, the more I thought this is a brilliant idea. If you are in the market, and I'm one that never tells people to go out and go buy this thing, but when you are in the market of faucet breaks at your house, if you've got the twisting faucets, like anything that turns, like you've got the hot and cold and both of them turn, or you've got like the spokes and they turn this way, much more difficult when you're older. And there are a lot of burns that happen from water being set too high and an elderly person not being able to turn the faucet off. So more fragile skin. A faucet can get stuck, especially if the hot and cold are separated. And then all of a sudden you've got burns. That can happen in the shower as well. So they have different types of handles where it's much easier for an older person to do, which is the lever style handle, right? So if you've got a hot and cold, to do a lever to where you only have to adjust it this right or left, you pull it on, you adjust right or left, much more safer. So if you are needing to replace things like that, make sure that you're replacing them with age-proof friendly, faucets and things like that. Also, the only other thing was use a non-slip resistant flooring, because there are a lot of spills that happen. And somebody, you spill a little bit of water on something, you're not in the right shoes, a fall can happen on a kitchen floor. So to have mats and things like that out that are like non-slip is another thing. Hallways and stairs. This is a big one, because there's so many people. Listen, I hope, my goal, I can tell you what my goal is to go down these stairs every single day until I'm like 120. And then I just fall off the stairs or fall off the cliff, but hopefully it's not up the stairs. But that is the goal, is to keep my body able to walk up and down these stairs 5, 6, 7, 10 times a day if I need to. That said, making sure that these stairs are super safe, regardless of my physical ability to put one foot up the stairs or another. We already know, which I talked about earlier, my eyesight is going to diminish as I get older. Think about your parents here, okay? If you don't think that this is you, it could be in 10 years, which is going to happen like that, folks. But if you don't think that this is you, I want you to look at your parents, look at like where your grandparents, and see if there is some sort of quick fix that can really help change the way they see things. I initially did this not on my main stairs, but on the stairs going down to my dining room, and I'm like kind of like on a 3 level, but it's just like a little kind of multi-level. So there's a lot of stairs in my home. The stairs going down to the dining room were like this without the rail. Stairs going down to the family room were like this without the rail. It's very difficult, especially from a certain angle, and I didn't get the angle here, but very difficult to see where the stair ends and where it begins, because it's all one color. So what I did before that event on Friday at my home is I put black tape, like a painter's tape. I got a 1-inch painter's tape and put it on all the edging of the stairs from going into the dining room and going into the family room, because that's where I was going to have 20 women walking. Nobody was going to go up the stairs. But when I did this up the stairs, when I did that with the tape down the stairs, I looked at the upstairs and I thought, oh my gosh, that is going to be a game changer in terms of what I can see. And so if you did a contrasting, even a tape, if you don't have the money to spend this, I actually brought somebody in and had them stain this, but it's only because the tape worked so well that I thought I have got to make this a permanent solution. So we took the tape off, and he stained, my helper Albert stained the stairs going to the dining room and to the family room. Huge difference. And then we made a smaller tape. This is only 1/4 of an inch size. We made a smaller stain right across all of the stairs going down. That is a giant difference, you guys. And I have to say, the stairs going into the family room, so think about it, it's just same color. Stairs goes into the family room. I've already tripped on. We've had multiple people trip on that. And that's as a 57-year-old. Imagine when I'm 90, right? So making sure that we can see the stairs with this contrasting strip. I'm telling you, a black or a blue painter's tape is a quick fix to keep you and your family safe. Big difference. And of course, I'm going to be adding the second rail really close to this wall eventually. That's going to be a lot more costly. The painter's tape was like $349, and I made everybody safe in the house by making that contrast. So that is definitely on the list for stairs. So installing handrails on both sides of the stairs, keeping hallways clear of obstacles and well lit, adding contrasting color strips on stair edge. Huge, huge difference. And if there's carpet on the stairs, ensuring that it's always securely attached. But I'm telling you, that contrasting strip that made a giant difference. Bathrooms. Now, a lot of these it might be for your parents or your grandparents, or think about it when you are getting older, right? But like I said, you want to do these things before you get to the point where you need them. Some people might need to install the grab bars near the toilet and the tower shove. That just because the toilet seats are so low, it's difficult to pull yourself up. So installing those grab bars near toilets and showers are super important. Non-slip mats inside and outside of the shower and tub. My husband took a nasty spill in our shower and came down on the back of his head. Had a big bump, did not split it open, but I thought, like, gosh, we're not even old yet. And so it's super important. So now we've cleared off a bench to be able to sit down. We've now got like non-slip little things in the bottom of the bathtub and the bottom of the shower. And then if there are times, like we had to do this for my mother-in-law, my husband's mother who passed away, but we had to install, and you can get them easily on Home Depot, a toilet raiser that just fits right on top of your toilet, that raises the toilet by about 4 to 6 inches. And it just gives you, think about it like one of those easy chairs that helps you stand up. It's like that. It just puts your center of gravity a little higher, so it's easier to stand up. So those are also things. And of course, we've all seen the commercials for the walk-in tubs and the walk-in showers. I don't know about you. I love my bathtub. My husband loves the shower, but there might be a time when I would rather be able to bathe myself and make accommodations of my bathtub than have somebody else bathe me. So that's a decision that, you can make when you get to that age. Just general safety, testing smoke and carbon monoxide detectors regularly. We stop doing that when we get older. It's much more difficult to get up on a ladder, or more dangerous to get up on a ladder. And in addition, because of a lot of things that happen with our joints when we get older, and I'm saying our because if we are lucky enough, it's going to be right? It's not just our parents. A lot of things happen with our joints, especially our shoulders, when we get older. And so opening and closing windows to keep fresh air in the house does not happen at the same amount of times or the same frequency as it does when you're younger, when you can easily slide those windows open and close. So carbon monoxide is a big killer. It is a big killer, especially in elderly people. So making sure that that you regularly test carbon monoxide detectors and smoke alarms is super important. Keeping emergency numbers by the phones, removing any loose cords or wires. We continually, and I do this myself, I step over this extension cord every single day. It's outside. I know exactly where it is. But the other day when I came up with this list, it made me really take accountability of my own home as well. And I thought, what is the worst case scenario? And I oftentimes do that. What's the worst case scenario if I trip on this? And I thought I could trip on this and hit my head on that table right there. Oh, it wasn't even a table. It was the edge of a cement planter with herbs in it. That could have been very, very dangerous. So making those accommodations, even though you know where it is, it's been there, it's in your environment, exactly where your obstacles are. It happens all the time in your own homes. And then of course we had a medical alert system for Jonathan's, my husband's mom, before, for the last year of her life. She hardly ever used it. So those kind of devices are only going to be as good as, if your consistency with using them. So if you've got an elderly parent who's living alone or is at a fall risk, making those kind of suggestions, are difficult, but oftentimes necessary. And it's just about, are they going to wear them? The bedroom, again, securing cords and removing clutter from the walkways, placing night lights or motion sensor lights for nighttime navigation. This goes against all of my talkings that I do about how to get your best night's sleep, right? But if you had to like weigh the pros and cons between getting a good night's sleep or falling in the middle of the night and not getting as good a night's sleep, like, just be safe. Be safe. That's why I sleep with an eye mask on, so that when I get up in the middle of the night, I can move the eye mask and I still have ambient lights and little lights around the house. No blue light, but still enough to be able to maneuver my situation. Ensure the height of the bed allows for easy access. And this is something that also happens, and it happens before you know it. And it happened with my mother-in-law as well, where all of a sudden she couldn't get out of bed. And so instead of, yeah, they have beds that can lift and they've got all of that stuff, but a simple fix is to go get furniture blocks under Amazon and raise the bed up so that it just gives them a little bit more height so they can swing their legs over and stand up more easily. Again, think of it as one of the chairs that helps you stand up like that, right? Just raising the bed. So if you are in the marketplace for a new bed and you are in your 50s, do not get a low bed. Just don't do it. You gotta, I always keep my eye, a decade or two down the road. And then keeping your phone and emergency alert system within reach. So that's what's on this very convenient age-proofing your home checklist. Like I said, most falls are not out and about at restaurants. They're not out and about when elderly people are taking walks or even walking the dog. Most of them are done in their own home because those accommodations have not been made. So it's a really simple checklist for your aging parents or yourself, okay? Okay, I wanna see if there was any questions and then I'm gonna get off here. Again, the way that you can get this, okay, somebody just said lockbox on door so EMT can get in-house. Brilliant, I need to write that down. Yeah, that's a good one. There's a lot of other stuff as well, you guys. When I did that live show with my husband and it was called Aging Parents, the Sandwich Generation and Caregiver Burnout or something like that. I think that's what it was called. It was a long title. But when we did that, we talked about sitting down and speaking with your parents at that 40-70 rule, right? When you're 40 and they're 70, that's when, do you plan on aging in place? What's your directive? All of that stuff. And there's a lot of things, not just accommodating the home, but finances, living wills, all of that stuff I went over before in another live. But that is a great idea because if somebody falls, we also had that problem with all of a sudden the door is bashed in because the firefighters had to get in to help my mother-in-law. So that is true. To have a door with it where you've got a lockbox. These days, I wouldn't suggest putting it under the mattress. I know we didn't have a lockbox, but we ended up putting a key outside and told them where. Don't suggest that anymore with, how crazy the world has gotten. But that's a great suggestion. Let me see if there was anything else. Remember, you can get to this free document. And it's good because you can put the little checks and then add whatever you want. Turn it over, add anything else that you want that is specific to either your grandma, your parents, or yourself. Okay, I think that's it, everybody. I'm gonna post this to my main feed right now so you can comment the word age proof. Age proof. Check your DMs. A little robot friend will help and give this to your DMs absolutely free of charge. Okay, I'll see you guys next Saturday. Again, I appreciate you all being here. You got a lot of places you can be on Saturday. And I'm humbled that you in fact trust me with your health. So I appreciate that. Again, this will be up for grabs in about 15 minutes, absolutely free. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.